Damon and Ratto, Whitey in for Damon, and nice enough to join us. Brought to you by Xfinity. Stay connected, protected, and entertained. Coach of the Warriors, Steve Kerr. Coach, thanks so much for your time today. We were just having a discussion about Steph, and you having played with Michael and played with the players you played with, have a obviously unique perspective on this. To my eye, at age 34, he looks like he's actually getting better, which I've never seen before. Is it possible that Steph Curry is actually improving this year before our very eyes?
I think it is, and it sounds crazy to say given how great he's been now for so long, but he's playing as well or better than ever. I mean, it's just amazing to watch night after night.
Are you seeing him being more demonstrative as a team leader as well? Because then the numbers, they tell their own story, but he also looks like he's more sort of involved in the more tangential stuff about guiding players to where they need to be, basically running the team in a more visual way. Am I misinterpreting that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's any different than a year ago or 2 years ago. I mean, he's grown into that. He didn't do a ton of that 4 or 5 years ago, but I think over the last couple of years he's because of the makeup of our team, he's really become more of a vocal leader, demonstrative leader. But I don't notice anything different this year compared to last. It's there's some frustration, but that's there for all of us, and we're just trying to find our way.
Yeah, to that point, Coach, we through the magic of TV, we heard you address your team on the bench last night, and we heard you telling your team about how there has to be a collective trust and competitiveness. One of my first reactions to that was, I'll bet it's been a long time. How long has it been since you've had to give that type of message to any of your Warrior teams?
Maybe not ever. I don't recall giving a speech like that. But it was warranted last night. You could just tell. We were just off kilter, and there was sort of a strange sense of I don't know what you would call it, almost like a melancholy. Instead of seeing fire in their eyes, it was just sort of like this resignation of maybe uncertainty about what was happening or confusion. But we definitely lost our way last night, and I'm confident that we'll find it, but it's gonna take some work for sure.
Of all the things that, you said you've never really given a speech like that before. Have you seen this sort of development before, where a team, not only of smart players, but confident ones, seem to have lost sort of the grip on all the things that they remembered from all those years? And I guess I've got to fold the young guys into that too. I've never seen a Warrior team that you've coached as sort of disconnected from the process as these guys are now.
I think last night was extreme. I mean, we had won 3 out of the last 4 games. I felt like we were rounding into form. So last night felt extreme, but don't forget, we lost 9 of 11 games last year in March. We were in a really bad way. Everybody predicted we had no chance to win the title, and then obviously we did a few months later. So we righted the ship last year. But there's no doubt the moment last night, where the cameras caught me in the timeout, that it was a strange vibe, and I didn't feel that vibe last year when we were in that bad stretch. And so that it was different, it was unique, but every season's different. Every team is unique, so we just have to find our way as a group. And as I said, I'm very confident we'll do that.
Coach, speaking of your way as a group, is there a disconnect between the young players who want to play but aren't playing well and the veterans who've stated publicly that they'd rather play with other veterans? No. That has nothing to do with our struggles. Our struggles are based on really bad defense. I mean, near the bottom of the league in defensive efficiency, fouling. I think we're dead last in free throws allowed.
That has nothing to do with, the makeup of the team or, young guys, old guys, whatever. It's just the intensity, the attention to detail, we haven't gotten it yet, and we got to keep working to get it.
Given that you've never really had to do this before, how many people have you talked to about getting ideas about how to get a message across that you probably never have really had to get across very often?
I would argue that I've had to do this plenty of times before. Like I said, every season is unique. Every team is unique. As a coach, you are presented with a series of, I don't know if problems is the right word, or I think challenges is the better word. Every single season, you've got all kinds of dynamics at play, and that's the job, is to navigate them. And Bob and I really collaborate on that. And Bob and I talk pretty much every day, and he helps me, communicate with the players, and we communicate with each other. And this one's a little different, but every single season is filled with challenges, and as I said, the job is to tackle those challenges.
Yeah, I guess maybe I'm focusing on the fact that this is, at least to your words, a different kind of challenge than you've had before.
Yeah, it is. It is a different kind of challenge, but as I said, we've had all kinds of challenges here. You can go back every year and find different moments in the season where, we're doing our radio show and you're asking me about other stuff, and that's the job, as I said.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Yeah. Coach Kerr with us on 95.7 The Game. Could you share with us when, this year going back to camp, when you first maybe became aware that, all right, defensively we're not where we need to be, and how much would this team improve if you could just improve defensively, just a measurable amount, just game to game? How much better does everything become if you can just start playing more consistently, measurably better defense night in and night out?
Well, opening night was we beat the Lakers, and we gave up 5 straight transition layups in the second half. The game was kind of out of hand, but it was such an ugly display of a lack of awareness and lack of fundamental detail in transition defense, which is really the very first principle of any defense. Is as soon as the possession changes, that's when defense starts. And so we saw it opening night, and basically we've been trying to address it ever since. We've had, until last night anyway, we've had a few good defensive games in the last week or two. So we've just got to keep going and keep plugging away, keep trying to get better with it. And as I said, I'm confident we will, but it's not an easy turnaround for sure.
Are you surprised that it's taken as long as it has to sort of recalibrate your defense? Yeah. I definitely thought we would be better by this point. Camp was obviously a little disjointed with, a few different things going on, but I thought we would be able to turn it around a little bit quicker than what we've shown. And again, I thought we showed some signs over the last week, and then we had regression last night, which was what made last night's loss so disappointing.
Coach Kerr, as far as Jordan Poole goes, how much of his ups and downs, in your opinion, are due to the fact that now Jordan Poole's name is a lot higher on the list of opponents' defensive priorities?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big factor when you have this kind of success that Jordan has had, the last year and a half. All of a sudden, you're on that scouting report, and teams are going through your tendencies and putting their best defenders on you, and that's a bigger responsibility. So that's just the next step in Jordan's development. And the one thing I love about Jordan is his willingness to take on challenges, and just like he did after his rookie year when he really struggled, he sort of took note of everything he needed to do, and he did it. And so he's a really conscientious guy. He's a very competitive guy, and that's part of his next step in his development.
When he has the occasional game where he only takes 4 or 5 shots, is that mostly the reason why? Is that he's not getting the kind of looks that he wants, and he's trying to create something, by distributing the ball that makes him basically put himself in a position where he's shooting less than normal?
Well, every game's different, and every game presents a different challenge, and not only for individual players but for the team. And so I think 2 nights earlier he had 36 points against the Spurs and shot 20 times, I think. So
yeah.
We need him to be aggressive for sure. And he distributed the ball pretty well last night, and did some good things. But again, he's a young player who's still growing, and we're going to help him develop further and become better and better as he goes.
Steve Kerr with us here on Damon and Ratto. Whitey in for Damon. Coach, I'm going to ask you about Klay, and we know that a bad shot is I've always said it's the blood relative of the turnover. How big of an issue is it when Klay's shot selection last night looked like it was a little rushed as he tries to fight his way back to being the player he knows he can be and wants to be? How big of an issue is the fact that last night I think he took more shots than anybody but Steph when he's not making shots, those quick shots? How big of an issue is his shot selection right now?
Well, last night it was an issue for sure. I think what we've always preached here and what we've always been really good with is creating a balance between our offense and defense, where you're getting stops and you're getting easy shots in transition, and then you're executing offensively to set up your defense. And the game, we always talk about the game being connected, and last night the game became disconnected, and Klay was part of that. The whole team was part of that, and so shot selection is a huge factor, especially if you're not defending well to start with, even in the half court. So it's an area where we've got to improve, and I'm very confident that Klay will be able to get out of this this rut, whatever you want to call it. But it's a frustration that you can feel with him. You can see it in his eyes. He's just frustrated. He wants everything back right away, and it just doesn't work that way. You just gotta go out and play and relax and move the ball, and the ball will come back to him, and we'll get better shots. But I think that's something the whole group needs.
How hard is it to tell somebody to relax when the whole problem is that he can't relax?
Well, again, that's part of coaching. That's part of providing support organizationally. And the thing with Klay is he's got a huge track record. He's a Hall of Fame player, and he's got a lot weighing on him right now. Just the injuries from the last couple of years, and he wants it so badly. It's been my experience that when players want it too badly, it gets in their way, and I just think he wants it too badly. He's got to find a way to just take the weight of the world off his shoulders and just enjoy the game, and that's my job and the staff's job and his teammates' job to help him try to do.
Is it a more effective message if it comes from a fellow player than it would be from you necessarily?
It's always really helpful, for the internal locker room leadership to handle stuff. Players' voices are much more powerful than coaches, and so everything that we do is, as a staff, is with our team dynamics at play and in mind. And fortunately, we've got some good veterans in that locker room who can share their wisdom with Klay and help him get to a more comfortable place.
Coach Kerr, do you have any idea when Andre Iguodala might be able to play? And do you have any idea what he might, given the issues you're having right now, ways in which he might actually be able to address some of these issues if he's able to get healthy enough to get on the floor?
Yeah, he's not going to play anytime soon. I mean, we made it pretty clear in camp that we're much more interested in the latter half of the season than the beginning of the season. And with the wear and tear on Andre's body last year, it was kind of stop and start all season long, and so the plan is to really bring him along slowly, and so he's not going to play anytime soon. But when he's out there, he organizes us. He's one of the smartest players I've ever been around. He gets guys good shots. He prevents people from getting good shots on the other end, and he's a brilliant basketball mind and leader. So he'll help us a lot when he's out there.
Do you find, in general, this is not a specific question, that it's harder for a guy who has not played all year to be able to be that sort of leader and guide for young players who, I think in general, and it's a generalization, I know, but tend to pay attention more to the guys who are playing than the guys who aren't?
I mean, it's a guy like Andre has the ultimate respect. Our young players know he was, Finals MVP. They know he's been an All-Star. He's got 4 rings, and the way he mentors them, the way he cares for them, they listen. So that's not a factor.
Coach, would you be willing to share with us at all how difficult it was to give the news to James Wiseman? And I know you've talked about this, and share with us how he reacted and what you're hoping to see from him at Santa Cruz more than anything else.
Well, it wasn't difficult to give him the news. It's more matter of fact than anything. James needs reps, and everybody knows that. And so talking to him, what I love about James is he's so committed to getting better, to the team, to the group, and he knows this is a good thing for him. Not easy. He wants to be here, and he wants to be playing a lot, but there's a process that goes into all this stuff. There's so much that goes into becoming a really good NBA player, and particularly when you're a big man and you don't have a lot of experience, it's just going to take longer. And so the G League and Santa Cruz is going to provide him with a lot of reps and a chance to kind of maybe sit back and watch our games a little bit and get a fresh perspective, and then be back before too long.
Are you starting to hate the word process?
Well, I'm trusting it, so there's that.
Coach, saw something really cool after the win over the Spurs, because I saw Pop giving a hug to Anthony Lamb, and I know Anthony Lamb was with them briefly last year, in that scramble when some teams are just, they needed bodies, and he's played so well for you. I mean, I know a lot of things right now aren't going the way they're supposed to go, but what kind of bright spot and surprise has Anthony Lamb's play been for you?
He's really good. I mean, he's just, I saw him play in the G League last year. I went to Santa Cruz to see our young guys play, and they happened to be playing the RGV team, the Rockets affiliate. And, as soon as the game started, it's like, oh, who's that kid? You could just see he has a great feel for the game. He shoots it well. He's tough. He's strong, so he can guard multiple spots. He has a knack for staying in front of people. So he's been great. And I think our Santa Cruz group and Kent Lacob, David Patoki, our front office has really done an amazing job over the years finding these diamonds in the rough, whether it's, Juan Toscano-Anderson or Damian Lee or, Gary Payton, Ian Clark. We've had Quinn Cook. We've had a lot of success with guys who were just free agents who our group went out and found. And I think Anthony is the latest and a guy who can absolutely help us win some games.
All right, Coach, we'll wrap it up here. Draymond said yesterday that the team's struggles so far this season, he said, they're, quote, are real, fixable, but something we can't ignore, end quote. How much of the fix could be here just better, more consistent effort and more connectiveness defensively? How far would that go towards brightening the picture that's in front of you guys right now?
Well, that's the plan, to improve defensively, and one way to do that is to improve on offense and just get better shots and make defenses work more. I made the comment last night that these games have felt like pickup games. Some of them, last night's did anyway, and so we've got to work harder at both ends to solidify our team, and that's the plan.
Thank you, Coach Kerr. We appreciate it very much.
Okay, you guys. We'll see you later.
Okay. Coach of the Warriors, Steve Kerr, talking about the mood last night. There was a kind of a pall about the team. Interesting.